Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, I'm recording this so I can share it with Get Real if need be. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. So, looking at both of you, I can tell that it's just as hot at Catholic as it is here. What the heck happened to fall? Okay, you want to show me what you're seeing? And, I mean, you guys can be on the call tomorrow or not. It doesn't matter. But I figured I would send it to them ahead of time so they have some time to look at it rather than just, their tech people going like,
Right. Yeah, share screen. Sorry, we're just trying to figure out how to share a screen.
It's okay. Oh, you did. Okay, right. I'm sorry. I was looking at you, not your screen. Oh, it's plus, and then screen share is a drop down. You figured that out.
You can see it, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, so we made all the changes to the survey yesterday. And for the two that required the change in question type,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to select multiple options, we had to delete the question and then remake the question with the correct question type.
Right. Pull it up, would you, so we can see it?
Yeah. So, okay. So we finished doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's 13, 14.
Yeah, it's question 12 and 13, but it says 13, 14 just because of numbering.
Somehow when the first people made it, however it was made, they skipped the number, so that's why they're uneven.
So we changed this to multi-select checkbox list.
Okay.
Which, if you preview the question, you are allowed to select more than one. So that's for both questions.
Can you select it in? I don't know how preview works. When you select it, can you actually save it? I mean, can you preview the survey?
It doesn't really let us do that. It only lets us preview the one question that we designed.
Okay.
We haven't found so far a way that we're previewing a survey without making it into the system, but we can't even get ours to get into the system to preview it because it keeps telling us that there's error in the recommendations.
So when we read the documentation, in order to get the draft survey, which is this one, live, you have to go in and validate it.
Right. Yeah, I saw that when I was. That's just a yeah.
Right. So then when we click that, we're getting this error.
So these recommendations that you can see here that says invalid question 13 specified the score.
Mm-hmm.
All other questions are scored where 1 equals 1, so the value that you put in is the value that it takes out. But we can't find somewhere that tells us how to score multi-checkbox.
Wow.
It would add up all your responses in that one single question, and then add that to the score.
I see. I think you're right. I think that's what the problem is.
I don't know if it has to do with the recommendation side of it, because if you go into the survey, you can edit recommendations, or if it has to do with overriding the way the scoring happens.
So I saw that before. I don't understand. Recommendations are different from surveys. It's a whole different process.
If you go under your survey, and you go look at editing, you can manage the recommendations. And the one that's already here is one-to-one, which basically means for every question that is a single response question, you're gonna get, every time you click the button, you're gonna get one point or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know if we have to add another one that would, for those two questions, add up.
But the thing is, so if you can see here, it says your SCIM score is.
Mm-hmm.
So if we added another one, it's going to be another score, but we're trying to get one overall score. So
Right.
recommendation is adding another scoring pattern for only question 13 and 14, but then their overall score on the survey it would be those two separate recommendations, and then they'd be put together somehow. But we can't find the documentation anywhere for the expression that we need for a multi-checkbox question.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen is so the reason we wanted to change this is because when when we ran it with one user, she said, well, both are true. I do walk with a cane, and I also use a wheelchair. So I think what we really need is a way to prioritize those responses and take the one that has the greatest impact, which I imagine would be using a wheelchair.
Right. You mean by that, like putting it back to a single question response and only like saying in the question, like pick the one that's most.
That might be the solution. Can we go back and look at it again?
The question.
Yeah, I think ideally it would be nice to capture the full, a greater description of the patient.
I think
there are ways to, like, if you can put in like a single response question and then you can put a spot next to it for like add text.
Right. So then how would that be scored?
Right, I'm not sure. Well, I don't know. Like if they have like so say one was I use a wheelchair and the other was I use a cane, they would select like I use wheelchair and then it detected I also use cane. You know what I mean?
So how is this score? I'm unclear how the score is being tallied anyway.
I thought we were thinking it had to do with like either it's the coded value somehow involved in the score, or if it's saying that one answer is 1 point.
Yeah, so I think when you make the recommendation, that's telling you how to like score each of your responses to the question. So for the one that was maybe the survey already is a 1-to-1. So for every question you answer, you would get 1 point or something like that.
That makes no sense, does it? I mean, I think you're right, but that doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if it has to do with the recommendations or overriding its default score. Why don't know.
Like when they say score, is that saying you completed 99% out of 100, or is it like?
That's a good question. I don't know, but it should give them a score which relates to some, level of competence, and then that's something we can track.
Right. See, I don't see that. We don't think we've seen that anywhere that it's like taking, okay, this person got a 6 and then saying your score was a 6 and that means you're mid-level of competency.
Yeah, so I figured that was something that's one of the mods too, is to go in and because when I was taking the surveys, I'd finish it and I get this message saying, "Yay, you finished it," and I'm going like, "Yay, so what?" Right? So you should know, with this one, like, okay, so. Your score is now such and such, talk to your therapist, whatever.
Right.
But there's a key that relates to what the scores mean, what your functional level is, and then that's related to what you're going to work on. Now, when you say recommendations are here, you don't mean recommendations like the other item in the drop down. That same word's being used two different ways, isn't it?
So I think it's the same. You're saying up here, like if you go up here and see.
Yeah, that's different.
So I think this is just so you
collect them all.
Yeah, it's collecting them all together. So these are all the different recommendations within like all the surveys in total.
Of the scoring.
Yeah.
So that's showing you there how all the things are scored.
Oh.
Like you can see your SCIM3 score is. But I just think it's weird. It's called a recommendation.
And I don't think we.
Well, yeah. So I thought it meant recommendation. Like the things at the bottom. If you're a woman and such and such an age, you need to get, a mammogram. Right. And there's somewhere in here, there's a recommendations engine that I started to play with. I kind of understand it, but what I don't understand is what it should be. I mean, and that's a Dr. Groh question.
Okay.
Where is that? That is. Click on. Yeah, there. So that's why I was confused. That's entirely different.
Yeah, this one's completely different.
But I understand it because there's logic in it, and I'm presuming that logic is the syntax is explained in the documentation.
Right. This one, I saw somewhere that was talking about age criteria and like instantly if you answer that your age is a certain amount, skip to the end of the survey. I read that in the end, but
so it's in the so the recommendations are in the survey too. These recommendations, like
no,
you know.
I read about this in the documentation.
Okay.
That you sent me when we were trying to find out about the other recommendations that we're trying to solve. I haven't seen where these. I think these are recommendations for saying like, yeah.
Yeah, it's based on so if
someone enters that they like are an amputee or something, then this pops up saying come to our support group.
Exactly.
But I don't know why they're called the same name either. That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, so these are the what they call them filters, which makes sense, and you can add a new one.
Right.
And that's what we plan to do, and they're like 3 pages of them.
Right. Yeah, there's.
Which I think is fairly exciting, because that lets us really tailor things based on specific fields. I mean, we can't just pull any field. It has to be a field that's, for instance, it can't be a recommendation based on a survey answer, unfortunately.
Right.
Or can it be? Because if what you're looking at is recommendation, is that possible? That would be very cool.
It says right here that if the recommendation filter you're going to import contains filter criteria referring to an action plan or health journal, you need to reassign. But the health journal is where some of these surveys in the health journal? Or are they in the health assessments? Never mind.
No. The survey engine is different from the health journals. And when we were talking yesterday, I guess it was, I haven't had a chance to write you guys yet, because we're concerned about the utility. That's why I had you stop with those 200 questions about what the utility of that is, and so that's one of the questions for Get Real tomorrow. Is we just kind of assumed, and everybody said that word in the meeting, that it would have the same sort of functionality as SurveyMonkey, but it would be inside the firewall and comply with HIPAA. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe that's not true. So that's what we need to figure out, because when we're talking about, if that's the case, then we're going to redo that huge survey and make it a health journal so that we can capture information for the patient that they can access, kind of like longitudinally, easily, so they can see, what their trend has been.
Right. So I went on the provider portal and tried to look at your patient history, and can print, the provider can print out a document that has all their information.
Right.
And it has the trends of blood pressure and weight over time and stuff like that. But there was nowhere in that initial printout that said anything about the surveys. But then I went in and viewed your surveys, and I could print the results, which is literally here's the question, this is what you answered. Here's the question, this is what you answered. But there was nothing that was comparing them in the way that I think you're looking for.
Right. And that's kind of like what we need.
Right.
Or we need to rethink this before we spend a lot of time, making surveys that somebody has to eyeball.
Right.
I mean, the possible utility of it is like this one. Excuse me, I drank water and it went down the wrong way when I was talking. Like this one, where a person could be looking at their function over time, and they're going to get a score, but then we need to add guiding text at the end that says, okay, if you score 0 to 10, this means such and such, so that it has some meaning. And particularly for there's a mental health survey on there. That could be really useful for people to see, gee, I'm feeling really down. Should I, am I really depressed or not? In other words, do I want to seek medical care, or is it really nothing? But okay, so I'm confused. Ideally, the way this should work is each one of those questions should be worth a score, probably 1 point or more. No, there are different. Flip back to the question. Can we look at the questionnaire again for a minute?
I feel like the question, it shouldn't be 1 point per question. I feel like the question should have different values.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Depending on what you choose. So.
If you like if all A's are 1 point or something. You know what I mean?
Right. So just like let's look at one of them with its.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do the same thing
Yeah.
0 to 3.
Exactly. So.
But is this the score you would get if you?
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah.
Or
So it's opposite. So the higher your score, the higher your function. That does make sense. So what does this piece look like on the multiple choice question?
It pretty much looks the same. It just is 1 to 8. But I think it's that the program doesn't know how to score it because it's not one question and one answer. It's one question and as many possible answers as the person chooses.
Right. Which is why I need to do this. I just don't know how that works.
Right, and then
You know what I mean?
didn't we try this and we put 0 to 8 in again?
Yeah. It still gives the same thing.
So like would these all be worth everyone be worth 1?
I think we tried that. We tried them all as 1 if we overrided it, and then we tried them all as 0 to 8. And I just don't know if there's some type of expression that you can put here that would,
Say like some
yeah.
The expressions that I found in the documentation, pretty much just for like skip logic and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not much about the whole scoring of these surveys.
Huh. Well, they told us we could do this, we added it in, but it obviously it's more complicated than we thought it was going to be. Okay, I get it. So,
make this survey live until the...
Right. So I think the thing to do is to, I will just send this 17-minute video. I'll upload it and share it with Get Real. That's been kind of useful in the past because it's kind of hard to describe these things in words. It's easier to see it. Okay, it's clear to me what the problem is, but not the solution.
Okay.
Good work, ladies.
Also, did you have a chance to look over Mod 5, one of the non-mods?
It was just the guided text.
Is it in it? Did you finish it? No, I haven't had to, but I'll do that tonight.
Okay. No, it's done, so we can
Yeah.
put it whenever
That was the easy one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
We did that one really quick the other day, and we've started to look at the
Cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think I understand. I think we're good. I'll just go ahead and, if you want to be on the call tomorrow, you can be. If you have other things, you don't have to be if you don't want to. I don't want to use too much of your time.
Okay.
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 All righty. Cool. Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.